I never thought the sound of laughter could feel like a knife. But that night, it did. It was a Thursday, the kind of day where the sky stayed gray and heavy until the streetlights blinked on. I had left work early, partly because I wasn't feeling well, partly because I just wanted to surprise David. We hadn't been connecting lately. His phone seemed glued to his hand, and when I'd ask who he was texting, he'd shrug it off, just work. I told myself I believe him. When I pulled into our driveway, I noticed something strange. His car was parked crooked, like he'd come home in a hurry. I remember thinking maybe he'd had a rough day. Maybe this was my chance to be the kind of wife who could turn it around. I unlocked the door quietly, my heels clicking softly on the hardwood. The house was warm, scented faintly with vanilla and something else. A faint trace of perfume I didn't own. Then I heard it, laughter. Hers. High-pitched, soft, and intimate. I froze in the hallway, my pulse in my ears. It came from our bedroom. I told myself to turn around, that once you see something, you can't unsee it. But some morbid part of me had to know. I pushed the door open, slow enough that it barely creaked. There they were. David, my husband of 8 years, half-dressed, sitting on the bed with her, a woman with glossy black hair, wearing one of his shirts like it was hers. His arm was around her waist, his lips too close to her ear. When they saw me, time shattered. David's face went pale. Hers didn't. She just looked at me like she'd been expecting this. I wanted to scream, throw something, demand an explanation, but nothing came out. My voice had been stolen by the sight of him looking at her with the softness he used to save for me. "Anna," he started, reaching for me like that would undo what I just walked on. "It's not." But I laughed. It was bitter, broken, not what it looks like. You're wearing half your clothes, she's wearing the rest, and you're going to tell me it's not what it looks like? The other woman, God, I still don't know her name, stood and smoothed her hair. She didn't apologize. She didn't even look ashamed. She just said, "I'll go," as if this was an inconvenience, not the wreckage of a marriage. The moment she left, the silence between us was suffocating. I could feel the finality of it, that even if he begged, even if he cried, even if I wanted to pretend, something fundamental had just died. "I didn't mean for you to find out like this," he said, voice trembling. That was the thing that broke me. Not that he did it, but that his concern wasn't for my heart, only for the way his betrayal was revealed. I didn't pack that night. I didn't throw him out. I just lay in our bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the echoes of their laughter replay in my head like a cruel loop. The next morning, I left before he woke up. I didn't slam the door. I didn't look back. Because once you walk in on something like that, you can never go back. I walked in on my husband and her. Heartbreaking story, extended. The day after I walked out, I stayed at my sister's. She didn't ask questions at first, just made me tea and let me sit in silence. But silence has a way of suffocating you. So I told her everything, every detail, right down to the smell of that woman's perfume. Her reaction was exactly what mine should have been. Anger, outrage, disbelief. 8 years, Anna? And he throws it away for her? She spat. I didn't answer. Because it wasn't just her. It was a choice he made over and over, every time he picked up that phone. Every time he looked at her instead of me. By the third day, David started calling. At first, he left voicemails, pleading, explaining, bargaining. It didn't mean anything. "We can work through this. Please, Anna, talk to me." I didn't answer. On the 5th day, he showed up at my sister's. She called me from the kitchen, her voice sharp. "He's here." I almost didn't go out, but part of me wanted to see if he would look me in the eyes. He did, and they were red, tired. "Can we talk?" "Please." We went outside. The air was cold enough to bite, and I kept my arms crossed like armor. "I messed up," he started. "I was lonely. You've been so busy with work, and don't you dare blame me." I cut in. My voice surprised both of us. "You were lonely. So you found her? That's not loneliness, David. That's selfishness." He flinched. "I didn't mean for it to happen. It just..." "Stop saying it just happened. Affairs don't just happen. You make choices. You made 1,000 little choices before the big one. My throat was tight, but I didn't let the tears fall. He ran a hand through his hair. I ended it. The second you walked in, I knew. You ended it because you got caught, I said flatly, not because you wanted to. He didn't deny it. And that somehow hurt the most. There was a moment, a split second, where I thought about forgiving him, about trying to stitch together the life we had. But then I remembered the way he looked at her, and I knew the wound would never close. This marriage is over. I said, the words tasting like metal, and if you ever truly love me, you'll stop calling, stop showing up, and let me go. He opened his mouth to protest, but I turned and walked back inside before he could. That night, lying on my sister's couch, I realized something. Heartbreak doesn't kill you in one blow. It comes in waves. The first is shock, the second is pain, and the third is the quiet emptiness that moves in after both have gone. I don't know how long it'll take before that emptiness feels like peace. But I know one thing. When I walked in on him and her, I didn't just lose my husband. I lost a version of me that believed he never could. 6 months later, the memories don't sting the same way they used to. They're still there, sharp-edged, tucked away in the back of my mind, but they've lost their power to cut me open. I moved into a small apartment downtown. It's nothing like the house David and I shared. No manicured lawn, no guest room, no memories in the walls. And that's exactly why I love it. The space is mine. Every dish, every picture frame, every blanket, mine. No ghosts here. I started running in the mornings. At first, it was just a way to burn off the anxiety that sat heavy in my chest. Now it's become something else. Proof that I can keep going one step at a time. Friends tell me I look happier. I tell them it's because I am. And it's true. Happiness doesn't always come from getting what you wanted. Sometimes it comes from surviving what you thought would destroy you. Then one rainy Saturday, I saw him. I was coming out of the coffee shop, clutching a paper cup between my palms, when I spotted David across the street. He was standing under an awning, phone in hand. Alone, he looked older, not in years, but in weight, like life had pressed down on him. Our eyes met for a split second, just enough for me to see the flicker of recognition, the flash of something I couldn't quite name. A few months ago, I might have crossed the street, demanded answers to questions that still lingered. But not now. Now, I just gave him a small, polite nod, the kind you give a stranger in passing, and kept walking, because that's what he was now. And for the first time since that night, I didn't feel heartbreak. I didn't feel anger. I felt free.